Case test again. Again, guys, you watch the video, na? We can move towards the AD test today. Right? Fine. Okay. Okay. So what is the process of hypothesis testing? What is test statistic, guys? Test statistics. On says problem statements are there. Based on the problem statement, we are framing a test statistics. So in a simple word, you can call test statistic as a function of the sample. Right. Second, correct. So first thing is with define a test statistic. Statistics. Okay. Second, you define the hypothesis. Correct. And then finding the p-value. Correct. We are finding the p-value. This is the general process of the hypothesis testing. Correct. So guys, what is p-value? Correct. So the probability of observing the test statistic given that the null hypothesis is getting true. Correct. That is nothing but the p-value. Okay. And we are considering the significance level as a 5%. Today we are going to learn a test, guys, where you will get a 1%, 5%, 10%, 15%, and 20% significance level. But still we are checking the critical value for the 5% only. Right? So we are not considering 10%, 15%, and all this thing. Because the AD test we are using just to check the normality. Apart from that, we are not using for anything else. Right? So we are just using AD test just to check a particular random variable is normally distributed or not. Means it's a Gaussian distribution or not. And trust guys, this is giving you the best result than any other tool. Right? So case test se bhi bahut acha hai. And whatever the tools previously we have used to check the normality, AD test is the best tool to check the normality. Correct? So we are considering the 5% significance level. Correct? Now we started with the permutation test. And I already told you the thumb rule, guys. Okay. What is permutation test? Okay, tell me the process. At least your name, I remember the process. Huh? Huh? Hmm? Okay. Anybody else? Hmm? It's a P test. What is permutation test? I'm asking the process. How? Hmm? Correct? Huh? This is the procedure, guys. That we have a set, right? We have a data, we have a two samples. We are combining this two tuple into one set. We are jumbling it or shuffling it, and we are randomly taking the two samples for a two vectors x1 and x2. And for each and everything, we are calculating the difference of the mean. We have defined the test statistic here, capital D. Correct? So for 1,000 samples, whichever you are taken randomly from the jumbling sample, every time you are getting small delta 1, delta 2, like this. So D1, D2, D3, D4, up to D1000 you are getting. So what is the next step? You need to sort them. So you are getting small D1, D2, D3, D4, right? So you are getting this one like this. D1, D2, D3, so on, so on, so on. D1000, correct? And among that, we need to see where exactly my capital D will lie. So if my data point, if the 5% points are greater than the capital D, then I can say that my P value will be 5%. If 10% values are greater than my capital D, I can say that P value will be the 10%, like that. Fine. When to use permutation test case? When we have a small data set or small data set, and generally we are calculating this thing only, difference between the mean, difference between the standard deviation, difference between the medians. In that case particularly we are using this permutation test, correct? Then we move towards the next stage, which is a case test. Now guys, what is the test statistic here? So the supremum difference between CDF of x minus, you can take xn minus CDF of xm, right? xm. Okay. So you have to take the supremum difference between this. This will give you the test statistics, correct? So guys, we know that we have a x and y, two random variables, and we are just checking the difference. Wherever I'm getting the maximum difference of the CDF, that will be my test statistic. Yeah. And we know that guys, what's the formula here to get the test statistics? क्या formula था? You got this one is the test statistic, right? This is your D n comma m, correct? You're getting here supremum value of CDF of, this is f of xn minus f of xn, correct? Now guys, again, how we are finding out this value? You are telling that D comma n comma m, when the null hypothesis is getting rejected, when this value is greater than C alpha of under root of square root of n plus m divided by m into n. So this is what? This is the case where exactly we reject the null hypothesis. Correct? Fine. Now based on this, we know that how we are finding this C alpha value. Correct? So if you take the alpha as a 5%, so you have to see in the table that what is the value of 0.05. So you have to check the value of C alpha, right? So you have a KS test. So if you see here, this is the CDF, and if you go down, it is telling the condition where exactly this is getting, null hypothesis is getting rejected. Right here. So you know that D n comma n is greater than C alpha of square root of n plus m divided by n into m. So this is the level they have given, 20%, 15%, 10%. So if you are checking for the 5% significant level, this is the value of C alpha for you, right? So you are multiplying this value with this square root values. So if you are getting this one, then definitely your null hypothesis is getting rejected at the level 5%. Clear, guys? And what is the use case of this case test, guys? When two random variables are having the same distribution or no? Or we can use to check the normality. Correct? We can use it to check the normality. Correct? Fine. See guys, we have one more test, correct? Which is a AD test, right? Let me write down. थोड़ा बहुत अलग टेस्ट है guys, है ना? I will, थोड़ा mathematical है. Listen. So we have a Anderson Darling test, right? Okay, so you called it as AD test, right? Fine. So here, the main use of this test is what, guys? To check the normality, right? So the main use case of AD test is to check the normality, right? This is also we can use AD test for checking two random variables are having a same distribution or not, or having the same distribution or not. But for every distribution, right? जैसे कि guys मुझे normality check करना है. So if you are applying the AD test, the AD test is based on again cumulative distribution function, which is nothing but here we are calculating the theoretical CDF, not the way we are calculating the CDF, right? But for every distribution, this calculating the CDF function is getting changed. जैसे अगर मैं Weibull use कर रहा हूँ, so the way of calculating the theoretical is changing. In the case of Gaussian, so अगर मैं normality check कर रहा हूँ, the CDF is getting changed, right? But we are using this AD test only for checking the normality, guys, not more than that. Okay, fine. So let's take the test statistic, right? Let me show. बड़ा लंबा formula है, right? So you are getting here AD test wiki. So guys, this is the AD test, okay, and this is the formula, guys. Here generally, guys, किधर गया? So generally, this is the formula, guys. A square. So A square is nothing but the test statistic. Guys, listen one thing. What they are trying to do, whatever the data, let's take, guys, suppose you have a data like this. Let's take. You have a data. And in that data, let's take you have a 9.7, you have 10.0, right? You have a 9.8, you have a 10.2, right? You are taking 9.9, you are getting 10.7. This is the kind of data suppose you have, correct? And I'm telling that I just wanted to check that this particular data or this, you take this data as a X random variable. I just wanted to check whether it is following the Gaussian distribution or not, correct? So they are telling that they are using two things here, okay? They are using here two things. First thing is what? One is theoretical CDF. Theoretical CDF. So our focus is on calculating the theoretical CDF, guys. Right? पहले तो देखो. We are checking the normality, guys. Definitely, we are having a X and Y. This X is nothing but your data, correct? That you are giving. For this data, you are checking whether it is a normal or not, correct? And this Y, this is taking the value as per the normal distribution. This is taking the value as per the normal distribution. For this value, I am comparing this. इसके लिए मैं theoretical CDF कैलकुलेट कर रहा हूं, and इसके लिए मैं कैलकुलेट कर रहा हूं. इसके लिए आपको कुछ नहीं कैलकुलेट करना है, just you tell that this is you are checking with a normal distribution. मतलब आप चेक कर रहे हो कि X normal distribution है या नहीं, right? So this is already in the normal form, and you are checking this one is a normal distribution or not. तो मैं इसके लिए theoretical CDF draw कर रहा हूं. इसके लिए already CDF है as per the normal distribution, right? तो उन्होंने इसका डिफरेंस कैसे दिया है, particularly in the test statistic? Let me write down first. I'm telling that this data, for this data, we are calculating the theoretical CDF. And this CDF we are comparing with the CDF of normal distribution, right? So this CDF we are comparing with the CDF of normal distribution. इतना समझा क्या गाइस? क्या करने जा रहे हैं हम? यहाँ पे भी सेम ही है, right? But I'm just comparing, means I definitely am finding the difference, right? थोड़ा सिमिलर ही है केस टेस्ट की तरह, but the test statistics is getting changed. Okay. तो इसके लिए क्या है कि टेस्ट स्टेटिस्टिक दे आर टेलिंग दैट यू हैव दिस फॉर्मूला. आपके पास ये फॉर्मूला है गाइस, दैट ए स्क्वायर इज नथिंग बट द डिफरेंस, राइट, माइनस एन minus 1 by n, correct, into, you can write here 2i minus 1, इसके आगे का मैंने को नहीं पता, 2i minus 1 into, right, into log of, you take the value f of xi, correct, minus 1 minus log of x I plus n minus 1, correct. This is the formula for test statistic. डरिए मत गाइस, जस्ट फॉर्मूला है, राइट. आपको सिर्फ इतना लिखना है, stats dot ad test, खत्म, right? It is giving you everything for you, right? So what I'm trying to like that, this is the a square guys, right? But in case of normality मुझे ये वैल्यू भी एडजस्ट करनी पड़ती है. आई एम राइटिंग हियर a2 star, which is nothing but the adjusted value of a square, is nothing but a square into you are writing here 1 plus 0.75 divided by n plus 0.225 divided by n square. This is the adjusted value. This is the adjusted value. This value you need to compare with the critical value. ये वैल्यू आपको कंपेयर करना है क्रिटिकल वैल्यू के साथ. अब आई विल टेल यू गाइस व्हाट इज दिस ऑल थिंग, है ना, कैसे कैलकुलेट करना है. लेट्स वी टेक, विल फॉलो द प्रोसीजर. अगेन आई एम टेलिंग गाइस, नोबडी इज आस्किंग यू दिस प्रोसीजर, बट गुड टू नो, क्योंकि आपको सिर्फ एक ही लाइन लिखना है, stats.ad test, you will get everything. 5%, 10%, 20%, सारे significance level with a critical value you will getting, even though this test statistic also. So this adjusted test statistic you need to compare with the critical value. Critical value means what guys? The significance value you are getting. For a 5% you have a different significance value, for a 10% you have a different significant value, like that, correct? Fine. So now here I have a test statistic, and what is my test statistic guys? मैं यहाँ लिख देता हूँ a star star 2 equals to, क्या लिखा मैंने, minus n minus 1 by n, बोलिए guys, 2i minus 1 into log of f of xi, correct, minus log of 1 minus f of x I plus n minus 1, correct. This one, correct. This is nothing but the test statistic, and this is what, this is not exact test statistic. They have given the adjusted one, adjusted a star star. Okay, what is that? It is nothing but a2 star equals to, you are getting here a2, sorry, a star star, sorry guys, so you are writing a star star 2 means a square ka star equals to a star star 2 into, you can write here 1 plus 0.75 divided by n plus 0.225 divided by n square. So this is the value that you need to find out for the adjusted one, correct. अब देखिएगा इसकी कैसे फाइंड आउट करना है. Okay. फिर आपको लगेगा कि एडी डॉट टेस्ट ही बेस्ट है ना, सब जानने के बाद. So first of all, you are getting this data. Okay. So the first step is sort it. First step is sort it. So you sort this data. क्या वैल्यू मिलेगा आपको? आई एम राइटिंग हियर सॉर्टेड डेटा. बोलिए क्या वैल्यू मिलेगा आपको? 9.7, 9.8, 9 point, then 10.0, 10.2, then 10.7. बस. This is the sorted data you got here. Correct? Up to here, clear, guys? Yes or no? Okay. Now, what is the next thing you need to do? See, guys, I told you that for everything. See, this is the adjusted R particularly to check the normality. ये जो आपको निकाल रहे हो ना, this is the general test statistic for the AD test. Correct? But this is what? This is also giving you the test statistic value, but this is the adjusted test statistic value, and this is for checking the normality. ये आप यूज कर रहे हो टू चेक द नॉर्मल. अगर मैं बोलूँ कि मुझे वेबुल चेक करना है तो ये फॉर्मूला चेंज हो जाएगा. इफ आई एम टेलिंग यू आई वांटेड टू चेक द लॉजिस्टिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, ये फॉर्मूला चेंज हो जाएगा. राइट? It depends on what distribution you are checking, but we are only focusing to check the distribution is a normal or not. Correct? So I sorted it. Then same thing, guys. I will take here I. I is nothing but the value number. You can say here you have a xi, and you take f of xi. This f of xi is representing here, guys, theoretical CDF. आपको CDF पता है ना? CDF generally you know how it is getting calculated, but this is a somewhat different, guys. Theoretical CDF is somewhat different. We are comparing the theoretical CDF of this data with the normal CDF of the variable who is following the normal distribution. Right? That is the test statistic for this one. Okay. So मैं यहाँ पे लिख देता हूँ that you have a first value 1. What is the number xi? 9.7. Second value, what is the value? 9.8. Third value, 9.9. Fourth value, 10.0. Sorry, yes. So you are getting here 10.0. कठिन लग रहा है क्या? See guys, ये मैंने डिराइव तो किया नहीं है ना, तो जैसा डिराइव्ड है आई एम ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन इन अ सेम वे. सो फिफ्थ 10.2 है, 10.2. देन यू हैव अ 6, 10.7. Correct? This is one. Now guys, this you wanted to calculate. Correct? Which is a f of xi. Correct? तो इसको कैलकुलेट करने के लिए guys एक प्रोसेस है. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप previously we are calculating the x value is lesser than or equals to the this value. वो हम पहले cumulative frequency calculate करते हैं, then we are finding out the values. Correct? तो मुझे ऐसा नहीं calculate करना है. For this f of xi, I have to use that formula. मुझे वो फॉर्मूला यूज करना है. तो सबसे पहले गाइस व्हाट यू नीड टू डू, वी आर चेकिंग फॉर normal distribution. So we need to standardize this value, right? So we need to standardize these values. आपको इस वैल्यू को स्टैंडर्डाइज करना है. कैसे करोगे? What is the formula for standardization? So you can take here xi minus mean of the sample divided by standard deviation of the sample. Correct? So हर एक वैल्यू को आपको स्टैंडर्डाइज करना है. करेक्ट? सो गाइस टेल मी, एक वैल्यू को करता हूं मैं, बाकी आपको समझ में आ जाएगा. राइट? सो you need to calculate what is the mean of this one. मीन बता दो s का. or then you tell me the standard deviation of S. Mean is 8.4. Standard deviation. Standard deviation. बोलिए 7 point. Mean is 10.05. हाँ और standard deviation. Standard deviation guys. कैसे करोगे गाइस फोकस? हाँ इसके बाद जो दो टेक्निक्स है वो तो और मैथमेटिकल है, पीसी एंड टीसनी. We are using linear algebra, eigenvalue, eigenvector, and all these things. 0.8, 0.3, 33. Okay, fine. This is the value you got here. Now, guys, you find out the value of xi. Right? तो आपको ये वैल्यू मिली है. फॉर ईच वैल्यू यू नीड टू डू दी स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन. सो आई एम टेलिंग दैट xi bar. करेक्ट. सो क्या मिलेगा आपको गाइस? फर्स्ट वैल्यू इज 9.7. So you are telling here 9.7 minus the mean is 10.05 whole divided by 0.33. What's the value? Minus 1.06. This is the value of this one. इतना समझा guys? क्या क्या किया? Process समझा क्या? कैसे कैसे किया? Right. Now this xi value guys, this xi value, you want which value guys? You want the value of f of xi. करेक्ट. यू वांट द वैल्यू ऑफ एफ ऑफ एक्स आई. तो मैं यहां पे लिखता हूं द फॉर्मूला इज एफ ऑफ एक्स आई इक्वल्स टू फाई ऑफ, फाई पता है ना, फाई सिंबल इंडक्ट, ऐसा फाई ऑफ जी स्कोर वैल्यू. सुना क्या रिप्रेजेंटेशन? ओके दिस इज द फॉर्मूला गाइस है ना. सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, यू विल गेट फाई ऑफ दिस एक्स आई बार. Right? Phi of this xi bar. This is the form. This xi bar is nothing but what guys? The z score that you have calculated here. Correct? Now, how to calculate this phi of xi bar? Correct? आपको इसको calculate कैसे करना है? So guys, to get this one, you have one formula. Right? So I am telling that f of xi equals to phi of xi. Correct? Phi of xi. Phi of xi means this value, guys. I'm considering, suppose this value as phi, 1 minus 1 point something, you know. I'm considering this one as the minus 1. So, guys, what is the formula for here? Here, the formula is integration minus infinity to z value e power minus t square by 2 dt. Right? This is the formula to calculate this f of xi. Now, how you'll get, guys, what is the z value you got here? Minus 1. So I'm telling that minus infinity to minus 1, you are calculating the value e power t square by 2 dt. Right? This value, suppose you got approximately, guys, you cannot solve this integration. मेरे को नहीं पता, reduction से solve करना पड़ता है, gamma beta reduction. Right? So I'm telling that suppose you got this value 0. Let's take 15 around. Right? So now what will happen? This first value here, you got 0.15. Correct? Similarly, you need to calculate for remaining guys. Okay. समझा इतना? ये आपका, you are getting the f of xi for each point guys here. इतना समझा? Then what is the next thing? Once you got this all f of xi guys, you make the sum of this. Right? सारे f of xi का sum करो. Take the sum of all of f of xi. Correct? So what you are getting guys, आपको पूरा मान लीजिए कि you got this sum as, let's take, I'm approximately taking guys, and I'm taking, let's take, you got this sum of 0.271, correct, like this. This is the value you got, summation of xi, because I'm telling that you calculate the f of xi, then you are getting the summation of this all f of xi. So once you got this summation of all of xi guys, you are getting the value of this portion. ये जो portion है ना, यहां से लेके यहां तक, right? Now what you need to do, once you got this value, आपको अगर ये value मिला, तो you have this ना guys, f of x equals to minus n minus 1 by n, और इसके आगे का जो टर्म है, राइट, दिस वैल्यू इज गिवन बाय दिस समेशन, जैसे कि मैंने इसका वैल्यू लिया 0.271, करेक्ट, ऐसा कुछ, राइट. सो यू आर गेटिंग हियर व्हाट नाउ, एफ ऑफ एक्स इक्वल्स टू, एन क्या है गाइस, नंबर ऑफ डेटा पॉइंट्स प्रेजेंट. यहाँ पे कितने डेटा पॉइंट्स है टोटल, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you solve it. So you're getting here minus 6 minus 1 by 6 plus this term. So what's the value you are getting here? Can you tell me approximate value here? 1 minus 1 by 6, sorry, minus 6 minus 1 by 6 plus 0.271. Tell the exact value तो कि हम एक वैल्यू का तो भी आंसर निकाले. माइनस 5 पॉइंट ई पावर तो नहीं है ना, दिस इज द वैल्यू minus 5.89. So this is what guys, this is the value of a square. This is the value of a square you got here, correct? But which value you want guys? You want the value of a square star. And what is a square star formula? A square into क्या है guys, 1 plus 0.75 divided by 6 plus 0.225 divided by 36. Now this value you calculate and multiply with minus 5.89. Correct? This value. Understanding guys, this value you are multiplying with this value. Suppose whatever the value you get here, V value, right? This value you are comparing with your critical values, और इसके basis पे then we'll decide we will accept the null hypothesis or we will reject the null hypothesis. समझा गया guys? सब ऊपर से क्या बोलना सर? So what I'm trying to say guys, once you calculated this one, take the sum of all xi, you got this one. Then what is the next thing I need to do? F of a stars. I need to calculate. What is minus n minus 1 by n plus this value? So I'm telling here this value, correct? And you will get the value of a star star 2, correct? Let's take, what's the value you got here? Minus 5 point something guys, minus 5.89. Then you need to find out the value for a star star 2 ka star. This is the adjusted one. This is the adjusted value, right? So this is what, this is the formula जो अभी हमने लिखा है ऊपर. Where is the adjusted one? This is the adjusted one. You are check here. So I'm copying this formula here. This is the adjusted one, correct? Now if you keep this value, you are getting here what value guys? A star star 2 का star. क्या वैल्यू आई लास्ट का? minus 0. minus 6.66. This is what your test statistic value is. Test statistics value. Okay. Now, guys, you are checking for the significance level 5. So you check 5% significance level critical value. Critical value. Okay. So, agar this test statistics is lesser than the critical value, then I can say that H naught is accepted. If this test statistic is greater than the critical value, if this test statistics is greater than the critical value, then I can say that H1 is getting accepted. Correct? I'm telling that H1 is getting accepted. And what is H naught here? We know, guys, we are checking the normality. I wanted to check that X is normally distributed or not. So I'm making here H naught is what? X follows the normal distribution. Normal distribution. And what is H1? X naught follows the X naught follows the normal distribution. Correct? So you are getting here H naught and H1. Based on this value, you are telling that whether H1 is getting accepted or H1 is getting rejected. Correct? Now, but guys, from SciPy, you have to only import Anderson. Right? मैं बता देता हूँ from SciPy dot stats import Anderson. Right? और यहाँ पे आप लिखो Anderson. आपको मिलेगा टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक. Let's take कोई भी variable equals to Anderson. You give here the X and you give here a distribution. कौन सा check करना है? I'm giving here norm. That's it. ये दोनों लाइन में आपका सब कुछ कर देगा. To check a particular distribution is a normal distribution or not. समझा क्या guys? I hope समझा तो नहीं होगा. Test statistics is less than the critical value. Null hypothesis is accepted, guys, not rejected. So load one data set, guys. So remember, guys, here we are checking with the critical values of the significance level. We are not exactly comparing with 0.05 here. We are comparing with the significance value, sorry, critical value of the significance level. Let me write down that point. आपको इसलिए confusion होगा कि आप test statistic greater than क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो p value से, correct? But here we are checking the critical value of the significance level. So here we are checking simple, guys. देखो कितना simple syntax. Anderson X distribution equals to no. So you will get a value here, test statistics value, and you will get the value. So guys, you are getting 15%, 10%, 5%, 2.5%, and 1%. We are taking the critical value of 5% significance level here. Correct? So you see this one. Okay. ये question समझेगा क्या आपको? Otherwise, we'll load the data set. Load the data set, guys. So you load and check it for the price column. So I'm importing this one, guys. This is the code. So this is the test statistic you got. And I'm comparing with the what 5% significance level, guys. मैं कंपेयर कर रहा हूँ 0.839 को, आई एम कंपेयरिंग विद 0.719 हियर। तो क्रिटिकल वैल्यू स्मॉलर है, मतलब टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक ग्रेटर है। टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक ग्रेटर देन द क्रिटिकल वैल्यू मींस व्हाट? क्रिटिकल वैल्यू दे हैव गिवन एज पर द सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल, राइट? हर सिग्निफिक आप क्रिटिकल वैल्यू को यहाँ पे पी वैल्यू कंसिडर कर सकते हैं, राइट? सिंपल वे। बट गाइज मैं इसलिए पी वैल्यू नहीं बोला यहाँ पे कि आप पी वैल्यू बोलेंगे तो यू विल कंसिडर 0.05। इस बार वैसा सिनारियो नहीं है। दिस पी इज व्हाट, सॉरी, दिस सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल इज 15% के लिए क्रिटिकल वैल्यू इज 0.527, फॉर 10% 0.6, फॉर 5% 0.719, 2.5 0.839. So this is the critical value for each significance level. We are not considering here 0.05, guys. We are considering the critical value of the significance level to check whether null hypothesis is accepted or rejected. तो आपको क्या आंसर आ रहा है? एक्सेप्टेड हो रहा है कि रिजेक्ट हो रहा है, ये बताओ। नहीं समझा कैसे निकले? एक्सेप्ट है। क्रिटिक टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक देखो, क्या है टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक्स? गेट दी टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक फर्स्ट। टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक गाइस, दिस इज द वे। जो रिजल्ट आपको आ रहा है, आपने लगाया एडी, सो आप लिखो RES डॉट स्टैटिस्टिक्स, आपको टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक्स का वैल्यू मिलेगा। लेट मी शो। नहीं समझा? लेट मी शो। हाँ, उसको कंपेयर करो 5% सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल का क्रिटिकल वैल्यू क्या है। हाँ, तो कौन सा बड़ा है? टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक इज लेस देन द क्रिटिकल वैल्यू। हाँ, तो उल्टा है तो H0 इज रिजेक्टेड, H1 इज एक्सेप्टेड, मीन्स व्हाट? इट इज नॉट अ नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन। हम 5% ही थंब रूल यूज करते हैं। अगर उससे ज्यादा करना है गाइस, दे विल मेंशन इन द क्वेश्चन इटसेल्फ दैट यू हैव टू कंसीडर अप टू 10% सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल। सी गाइस, देखो, एक चीज है कि लेट मी टेल यू फ्यू थिंग्स, है ना। यू विल फील दैट सर दिस इज टू मच मैथमेटिकल एंड ऑल दिस थिंग। बेस्ट वे आपको इजी लगने के लिए गाइस, आई कैन स्किप मैथमेटिकल पार्ट, फिर आपको ये सब इजी लगेगा, है ना। बट द थिंग इज दैट यू हैव टू नो द इंट्यूशन हाउ एग्जैक्टली द थिंग्स केम, राइट? तो इसीलिए हम ये सब चीजें कर रहे हैं, नहीं तो फिर कुछ भी नहीं है। बिकॉज यू नो दैट 2 लाइन्स का कोड, लाइन बाय लाइन कोड को एक्सप्लेन कर दो कि ये क्या कह रहा है, वो क्या कह, यू विल अंडरस्टूड, राइट? सो आई एम लोडिंग हियर df इक्वल, कौन सा डेटा सेट लोड किया आपने? CSV, आई एम राइटिंग हियर। So this is the DF. I'm checking for the price column ना guys. Any outliers in price column? बहुत है, इसलिए हम उसको स्टैंडर्डाइज कर रहे हैं, right? So I'm writing here data equals to DF of, I'm writing here price. Ah, Ishwar. I'm writing RES equals to Anderson of data, है ना? So RES dot statistics I'm writing res dot statistic. It is giving you the value of statistics, and res dot critical value. It is giving you the value of significance levels critical value you consider as p value पर मैं इसलिए p value नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि again you will get confused sir पहले केस में तो p value आपने 5% बोला right now guys see here I am considering this is one आप sequence wise जाइए first one is what 15% ये significance level भी print कर देता हूँ right so that you can understand RES print किया सब कुछ आ जाता है ठीक है fine so what I'm trying to say here listen guys अभी आपको एक लाइन में मिला सब लिसन दिस इज व्हाट 28.31 दिस वी हैव कैलकुलेटेड बाय यूजिंग मैथमेटिकल फॉर्मूला करेक्ट नाउ यू नीड टू चेक गाइस दिस टेस्ट स्टैटिस्टिक is less than the critical value 5%. अब देखो critical value 5%. This is the 15% critical value. This is the 10% critical value. This is the 5% critical value. So you compare this one, this value, you compare with I'm telling that this value is less than this value. If I'm returning this one, you'll get here false. False means what? This value is greater than this value. The meaning of that is now H1 means I'm writing here H naught is rejected. Means what? Definitely H1 is accepted. So it is not a normal distribution. So not a क्लियर गाइस समझा क्या ऑनलाइन try for the another data set try for the weight try for the weight column see guys दो दो तीन तीन लाइन का कोड है right but the thing is that आपको समझने के लिए you have to understand many things that's why they told the data science same है 28 ठीक है load another data set guys जितने डेटा सेट है 3-4 डेटा सेट यू लोड इट एंड चेक इट समझा क्या गांधी जी ऑनलाइन अंडरस्टूड और नॉट see guys don't be confused understand which value I'm comparing with the test statistic check for all the column guys sepal length sepal weight petal length petal weight which one critical value listen one thing guys why we are doing this standardization then we have to normalize you have to normalize the data and then we are applying this so if once you normalize the data what will happen so it is somewhat it is scaling down and it looks like a Gaussian क्या एग्जीक्यूट हुआ है ना वो अभी आपको ये आंसर नहीं है check the critical value for the 5% significance level with a test statistic See guys, always whenever you are solving the hypothesis question, always write the if else condition when the hypothesis is getting accepted or rejected. Hmm. किसमें? So it's not looking a Gaussian, no? चेक फॉर ए अदर सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल गाइस, अदर सिग्निफिकेशन लेवल के लिए भी एक्सेप्ट नहीं हो रहा है. चेक फॉर अदर सिग्निफिकेंस लेवल्स. See guys, when you apply the AD test ना, automatically it will normalize the value, है ना? तो आपको फिर से normalize करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Check the duplicates in the column guys. Duplicate values हैं. What? Hmm. Accept a Gaussian है. Listen guys, one thing again I'm telling, this is the statistical technique. अब मान लो आपको एडी टेस्ट से गौशियन आ गया, है ना? और एक और टेस्ट है गैस, शिमारो समथिंग, नाम नहीं पता मुझे, पर दिस इज अ टेस्ट, है ना? इफ यू डू विद दैट टेस्ट इट विल शो दैट दिस इज नॉट अ गौशियन, राइट? बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली इज इज अ स्टेटिस्टिकल एनालिसिस, तो आप किसी एक टेक्निक्स के बेसिस पे आगे नहीं बढ़ते हो. ओके, एडी टेस्ट इज शोइंग मी गौशियन, आई एम डूइंग द एनालिसिस एज पर गौशियन नाउ. But if some other test me showing you it's a non-Gaussian, there I will do the analysis as per the non-Gaussian. I already told you guys, कोई ऐसा फॉर्मूला नहीं है डायरेक्ट कि आपको बता दे कि वो गॉसियन है. होगा तो बना दीजिए फिर. नॉट पॉसिबल. So that's the reason, guys, I'm telling that check all the data set, whatever we have used till now. Check all the continuous column and tell which is Gaussian and which is non-Gaussian. डोंट वरी गाइस, आपको लग रहा है हर बार नॉर्मल नहीं आ रहा है, नो वरीज. वी आर नॉट हम अपने मन से कुछ नहीं कर रहे ना, वी आर जस्ट फॉलोइंग द प्रोसीजर व्हाट दे आर टेलिंग. So as per the procedure, they are telling that okay, it's non-Gaussian because we are always focusing on the 5% significance level. Other significance level के लिए अभी तो आपको नहीं focus करना है, right? If they are asking for the 1% significance level, तो they will mention in the question itself. तब तक आपको खुद से मन से नहीं करना है guys. Always consider the thumb rule as a 5% significance level. समझा क्या पीछे? Understood guys? Yes or no? Try for all the data set and let me know the result. Which is Gaussian, which is non-Gaussian. See, this time I will give you the data set for the EDA project. Okay. So I will give you the 10, 10, 15, 15 questions related to the hypothesis. क्योंकि in case of hypothesis, mostly you will get a question, guys. Right? आप खुद से क्वेश्चन रेस करो तो भी चलेगा, but I will give you some of the कुछ अच्छे क्वेश्चन है for every data set. So this is the process that you need to do with the EDA. ये सारी चीजें आप EDA के साथ करते हो, hypothesis. So once the hypothesis is over, you can say that your complete EDA, you can do it now, right? See, इस EDA का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप सिर्फ ग्राफ ड्रॉ करके रखो. Again, I'm telling, only draw a limited graphs and make a better conclusion. नहीं तो आप 10 ग्राफ ड्रॉ कर रहे हो और एक एक कंक्लूजन लिख रहे हो, मतलब नहीं है. You draw a limited graph because we have seen the limited graph only now. We don't have to construct all the graph, guys. Whatever the graph we have seen, that is sufficient, right? To make the analysis from that. Do it fast, guys. Load all the data sets. कौन कौन से डेटा सेट है? हाउस प्राइसिंग, कार, राइट, Airbnb, all data set. You wanna check it fast. Only four lines code, guys. See, guys, this is the mathematical intuition, है ना? अगर nobody is going to ask this thing, but it's always good to know. अगर आपको पता है how exactly the things are getting calculated. जो मैंने आपको explanation दिया, it is already available in the Wikipedia. How to check Gaussian isn't again. Why should you draw the QQ plot, guys? Huh? Why should you draw the QQ plot again? After checking the AD test here. You compare the test statistic with the critical value only. Why should you draw again QQ plot? This test itself is telling you whether it is a Gaussian or not Gaussian. What I told? Because you have told me Gaussian. क्या Gaussian बोला मैंने? This test is used to check a distribution is a Gaussian distribution or not, guys. So how to check if this is a Gaussian or not? You are just comparing the test statistic value with the critical value of the 5% significance level. Based on that, it will tells you that whether it is a Gaussian or not. By guys, you are not at all listening then. How to check बोल रहे हो इतना बताने के बाद. What is the statistic value here? 28.31. I told you that check the critical value for the 5% significance level. This is 0.781. So I'm checking here. If it is a less than this value, then I can say that null hypothesis is rejected. If the test statistic value is greater than the critical value, then I can say that null hypothesis is accepted, like that. In this case, the test statistic value is lesser than the critical value. So I can say that null hypothesis is rejected. Null hypothesis is rejected means what? Definitely what is your H naught? X naught follows the normal distribution. Correct. These are the two things you remember, guys, in the case of AD test. H naught is this follows the normal distribution, and H1 is not follows the normal distribution. Correct. So I'm telling that if the test statistic value is lesser than this critical value, based on this you check. So this is the thing. So I'm writing here hash. If test statistic is less than the critical value of, let me write down 5% significance level, 5% significance level, right? Here also you check 5% significance level, right? And what is a 5% significance level value, guys? This is the value for 15%. This is the value for 10%. And this is the value for 5% significance level. So you are comparing with this value. So let me write down here the value. Now, based on this, it will accept or reject the things. Along with that, explain what p-value significance. I didn't got the question, Satyanarayana. Please explain the question, then I will answer. What I didn't got the question, along with that, explain p-value significance. I didn't got the question. Listen, guys, I'm telling you from the starting, listen and focus. Again, I'm telling what I'm trying to say that after applying the AD test, you are getting here test statistics. This test statistic value you are comparing with the critical value, not a significance level, right? But this critical value are given as per the significance level, correct? So this is the 0.574. It's a critical value for the 15% significance level. The 0.654 is a critical value for the 10% significance level. The 0.785, it is a critical value for the 5% significance level. And I'm comparing 5% significance level critical value with the test statistics. If this test statistic value is less than this value, I say that the null hypothesis is rejected. सर ये मैंने उल्टा बोला क्या? रिवर्स बोला क्या मैंने? I'm telling that test statistics is lesser than the critical value. H naught is accepted. Correct? And the test statistic is greater than the 5% critical value. I have said that H1 is accepted. So in this case, आपका value lesser है. Means test statistic value आपका greater है. That's the reason H naught is getting rejected. अगर less than मिल रहा है तो you are getting H naught is accepted. There's a reason I'm telling guys, you will interpret it if you check for the different data set. So load the fast check for the all the continuous value so that you can interpret what exactly the AD test is telling to you. See, listen one thing, इतना सरल नहीं है hypothesis कि हम बोल दे और आपको समझ जाए. आपको खुद का दिमाग लगाना पड़ेगा that how exactly it is getting interpreted, right? So check this test statistic value with the 5% significance level critical value. कौन सा क्वेश्चन आया? See guys, generally if you have any data and if you apply the standardization on that data and if you see the QQ plot for that one, it is showing that it's a Gaussian, right? But यहाँ पे QQ plot नहीं, यहाँ पे compare हो रहा है. That's the reason it is really telling you that either it is a Gaussian or not. इसलिए it is ज़्यादा powerful है as compared to any other technique, right? And remember one thing guys, अभी ये non-Gaussian है. If I added some more data in this one, it can become a Gaussian. There's three more tests that we need to discuss, which is a Z test, T test, and ANOVA. Done. Checked for the all data set, guys, right? No issue, guys. No issue. It is not showing Gaussian, means not a Gaussian. But guys, again I'm telling yes, अगर Anderson test आपको non Gaussian बोल रहा है, तो it is non Gaussian as per the AD test, right? If there is a changes in the data, it might become a Gaussian, right? So guys, again I'm telling guys, आप इस चीज को ऐसा मत लीजिए कि हमने अप्लाई कर दिया, इस टेस्ट ने Gaussian बोला तो वो Gaussian ही है, फिर एनालिसिस किस मतलब का? अगर मुझे कोई फॉर्मूला ही डायरेक्ट आंसर दे दे तो व्हाट इज द यूज ऑफ analysis? That we are using a different techniques to see the answers. Understood, Kiran? Why you are sending online here? You have to directly ask the question. Huh? This online is for online people. Offline people don't share the message in chat box. Huh? So you directly ask me ना. गजब लोग है भाई. ठीक. Done. Checked for the all data set, guys. पढ़ना है और एक टेस्ट की कंफ्यूज है. क्या होता है एडी टेस्ट? बोलिए आगे. क्या होता है एडी टेस्ट? हम्म What Anderson function is returning you guys? Test statistics and significance level with their critical values. When the null hypothesis is accepted and when it is rejected, guys, what's the condition? When the test statistic is less than the critical value of the 5% significance level, then I can say that the null hypothesis is getting accepted. Otherwise, I can say that null hypothesis is getting rejected. Understood, guys? एक बार आप फॉर्मुलेशन भी समझ लीजिए मैथ से, राइट? यू गो थ्रू दैट. कंपलसरी नहीं है, आपको कोई नहीं पूछ रहा है. जो पूछेगा आपसे वो आपको हेल्प भी करेगा कि यू कैन यूज द गूगल, बिकॉज इतना फॉर्मुलेशन किसी के याद नहीं रहता गाइस. वी आर अ नॉर्मल ह्यूमन बीइंग, राइट? We have a few more tests, guys, which is a Z test, C test, and T test. Guys, confused mat hoiye. Listen, I'm telling again, because end of the day, आपको करना क्या है इतना जान लो कि you will apply a test and you will check based on the value it will accept or reject. आपको इतना ही करना है बस. But you have to know for each test statistic what is this you have to know for each testing what is the critical value, when the null hypothesis is getting accepted, and when the null hypothesis is getting rejected. ये simple चीजें अगर आपको पता है, then you can use it. And at the end, I will give you one chart. Based on that, you will understand which test you will use when. तो आपको बहुत सारे questions मिलेंगे, right? Based on that question, you think which test you will apply here, right? Some test correlated है guys, जैसे अगर मैं Z test, T test और permutation test का बात करूं, so particularly you will feel that all three are doing the same things and we are using for the same purpose here, right? But there is a slightly difference in all this test, guys, right? Permutation test is a parametric test or non-parametric test, guys? Non-parametric test. We are not at all considering what kind of distribution it is, right? We are not at all checking. So ना आपको mean पता है, ना आपको standard deviation पता है. We can directly apply this test. But the main thing about the permutation test, it will work better when your sample size is or your data set is small, right? In that case, we are using AD test. We are going to use only to check the normality, guys. So now you have one more tool in your disposal to check the normality. You will check the distribution plot, right? You will check the QQ plot. You will use the KS test. You will check the AD test. So these are the tools to check the normality. इसके अलावा guys, you have near about 7 to 8 tests more to check the normality. अब आप इस चीज से समझ लो guys, that if AD test is giving exact result, why you have a 7 more test to check the normality, right? The reason is what, guys? This is the statistical analysis, right? So you can have a different techniques to make some sort of analysis, right? आपको exact answer नहीं मिलेगा कि that you apply AD, you will get the exact answer, right? There might be chances that, okay, sir, AD test is showing that it's a normal Gaussian. KS बोलेगा कि ये Gaussian नहीं है. Right? So whatever the result you are getting, based on that, you need to do the analysis, guys. That is nothing but the statistical based analysis. Right? क्योंकि this is not about the prediction, guys. हम यहाँ पे कुछ predict नहीं कर रहे हैं फिलहाल. We are just doing the analysis to understand the data in a better way. Right? So आप पहले तो ये जान लीजिए कि this all are the tools. Right? बिकॉज अगर एक ही टेस्ट काफी होता टू चेक द नॉर्मेलिटी, हम सिर्फ एडी टेस्ट ही पढ़ते हैं. इतनी सारी चीजें हम पढ़ते भी नहीं टू चेक द नॉर्मेलिटी, राइट? सो दैट्स द रीजन. एंड वेन एवर यू आर चेकिंग द नॉर्मेलिटी, ये सारी चीजें आपको यूज करनी है, राइट? ऐसा बहुत ही कम बार आएगा कि सब बोल रहे हैं कि इट्स अ नॉर्मल, राइट? ऑलमोस्ट कभी नहीं आएगा कि सारे statistical analysis saying that it's a normal distribution, right? But sometimes what happen, we are assuming that it's a normal and based on that you are doing the analysis, right? बहुत ही ज्यादा deviation है, कोई chances ही नहीं है that it is becoming like a bell shape, ऐसा कुछ ही नहीं है, then you can do it, right? तब हम बोलेंगे कि आप कुछ नहीं हो सकता. It's not a normal test. Okay. So we have a Z test and T test. When? Guys, we have to complete this in a Z test, T test, ANOVA, and chi-square test. 4 tests are remaining. My target is to complete the PCA and TSNE in this week. We are going literally very slow. आपके पीछे वाली बैच आपसे आगे है, ठीक है? The reason है ना? That's the reason I'm telling that it's completely on to you guys. Please focus. If you're not focusing, you will ask the same question 10 times. Your responsibility, whatever you have learned, you go to home, read it. I don't have any problem to explain you the thing 10 times. But don't ask me when the syllabus will complete. इतना ही अनुरोध है आपसे. Fine, guys. Please keep reading.